Let's see here. All right, great. Again, my name is Ken George, and been selling mobile apps for about 2.5 years using BA's system. Absolutely love it. I'm so super excited about this industry and what we're able to do in this industry and with the residuals and everything. That I just feel blessed to have found the industry, and I'm absolutely humbled by the success that we've had, even though I still think that I think we're failures, because I I thought we'd have like 1,000 or 1,500 apps by now, and we don't. We've got over 100. So we've had some success, but we're just getting started. Today, what I'd like to do is I'd like to talk to you on a few different subjects. First of which is big game hunting. Which is really neat in this business. The concept that we sold some bail bond companies. They actually had 9 different bail bond companies as part of this group, and we sold them 5 apps. We've got a restaurant group that we sold 4 apps to. A restaurant group we sold 9 apps to. We've got a school district that we did 25 apps with. We'll end up doing a total of 40 by the time we're all said and done. So I want to talk about those experiences. I want to talk also about setting your customers' expectations. If you set unrealistic expectations, you can pretty much guarantee yourself unhappy customers. And all of our customers are happy because we set their expectations in such a way that we can certainly exceed them. And then we want to finish up with talking about the reality behind technology. So here we go. Big game hunting. What you seek is closer than you think. The first thing I want to do is I want to just let you know, if you're looking for big opportunities to sell apps, you're probably not on the right track. With all of the successes that we've had with big game hunting, we were not hunting big game. It was more like big game found us. So I implore you to simply do the basics and get out there and simply walk through the doors. When we hire a new sales rep, we talk about the concept of Monday morning getting up, going out into business districts. And if you start by picking some industries that you want to focus on, some verticals as they're called. Say you choose, we've had a lot of success with electronic cigarette stores, so that would be a good one. We've had a tremendous amount of success with restaurants. You might say pizza restaurants or Mexican restaurants or just restaurants in general. I love the concept of bars. So literally you could make a list of 10 bars, 10 restaurants, and 10 electronic cigarette stores, or 10 tattoo parlors, or 10 hair salons. You've got that list of 30 businesses. What I want you to do is on Monday morning, I want you to leave the house, and your goal is to go and walk through as many of those doors as you can. For each door that you walk through, you want to also hit the businesses that are up and down the street, as well as the businesses that are across the street. That's how, even though you're only focusing on hair salons, tattoo parlors, electronic cigarette stores, restaurants, even though those are the only people that you were focusing on, because you went next door, you went up the street 4 or 5 businesses, because you crossed the street and went down the street 10 businesses, because you crossed the street and went back up the street 4 businesses, for each business you hit that you intended to hit, you actually walked into 5 or 15 or 25 other businesses. So by trying to walk into the doors of those 30 businesses, you're actually going to find yourself walking in the door of 350 businesses. And that is where you're going to come across these big game opportunities that we have. So the first one there is alternative smokes. and we published an app for them. One of my resellers in New Orleans walked through the door, and it turned out that although it was an electronic cigarette store, the people that owned it were actually manufacturers in the industry, and they actually manufacture equipment as well as some of the juices and supplies. They have hundreds of customers that have stores that sell their stuff. They thought it would be a great idea to make mobile apps available to all of their customers at a discounted rate. They already had conference calls that were going on a weekly basis, a monthly basis with these customers. Next thing you knew, here I was, along with my reseller, on this conference call talking to 100 plus owners of electronic cigarette stores. Some of them were gas station owners that sell the stuff in their store, or what have you. So that was a great opportunity to have these people, upon presenting them, they were then calling us. So that was a really great opportunity. The second one that you see there on the list is Indian River County Schools. And I already gave you Vero Beach High School, Vero Beach Elementary School, Storm Grove Middle School. These are just 3 of the schools that we have published apps for. And by the time we're done, we'll have 40 apps in that community, because we're going to go back and do apps for the football team or the athletic departments, for the marching band. I mean, the marching band is like a city all within itself. You know, they've got 200, 250 people in the marching band. The families are very involved. They need their own app. But then you've got an entire music department. On the football team side, you've got an entire athletic department that we can provide an app for. And then when we're out talking to the local businesses, it simply gives us more to sell. So we're out there talking to a business, and I mean, it's awesome. You've got to do this. Find a church or a group of churches. Find a school or a group of schools. Find a nonprofit that you can walk in the door and say, hey, I'm here to meet with the business owner. My name is Ken, and I'm here with Next Wave. We're here on behalf of the Indian River County Schools. You see, what we're doing is we're doing a free mobile app for every single school, and we're talking to the local businesses about being sponsors for the program. The neat thing is I can get to the business owner so quickly when I'm there on behalf of the Little Sisters of the Poor. And then once I get to that business owner, I'm not only talking about doing an app for the schools and looking for sponsors, but I'm also mentioning how we do apps for local businesses. Would they like to take a look at an app that we did for 2nd Street Bistro, an app that we did for Sambuca Restaurant? It's a great way to sell apps. So in doing the Indian River County Schools, we've now sold about 9 apps to businesses while going out there talking to the schools. So that's really, really neat. Again, going after schools, groups of churches, groups of nonprofits, that is big game hunting, folks. The way that I got the schools is my daughter is in the orchestra, and she's really good. She's first chair violin. So they took 5 kids along with the teacher to the grand opening of one of the new McDonald's in town. And all of the dignitaries in town, the county commissioner, the mayor, the blah, 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 representatives from everywhere were there. It was really interesting. It was a who's who. So I had to do transportation and take my daughter, and the principal was there, and she was talking about, you know, being thankful for all the things that the school has been given and how the school is always in need of money. So I thought, let me go talk to the school about them getting an app and them going out and getting sponsors. So I went and met with her. I'm sitting there talking to the principal, and I mean, obviously it's easy to get in front of your kid's school principal. I got halfway through my speech, and she stopped me, shut me down, and told me I had to go talk to Bruce Green, who was the assistant superintendent of technology for the school district. Now, honestly, I am human. I am not perfect. I actually talked to the assistant principal the year before. He told me the same thing, and I just assumed it was his nice way of saying no. You know, oh, go talk to the assistant superintendent. Oh, yeah, they're going to take my call. So when the principal told me that, I waited probably a week, and then I sent an email and a phone call, and I got a return phone call. I got a meeting. I met with the assistant superintendent. We sat there for an hour. We just had a conversation. He was really interested in where I was from, and because this is a small town. And so he's like, I've been here forever, and this is my story, blah, blah, blah. So once I told him about the apps and what we had going on, he was so excited about it that after our 1 hour long meeting, he went down the hall, met with the superintendent. Superintendent said, well, why not just do one app instead of doing 25 apps or 40 apps? And he explained that if we did one app, nobody would download it because the information would be too general. So by doing individual apps, it really allowed people to be able to dig into the information for each of the different entities that we provide an app for. So literally, I left that meeting. He called me back at 5:30 that day and told me it was a go. They had to run it by the school district attorneys, and then after running it by the school district attorneys, then that was all they had to do, and if that was the case, then we would do it. So from that point, let's say that meeting was like I don't know, a week later, he called me and was like, okay, that's a go, and this was right before Thanksgiving, and so he said, come into the principals meeting that they do, which is once a month, and make my presentation to the principals. So I showed up at that meeting. I had 15 minutes. I took 10. I told them, Merry Christmas. You were all getting a brand new app for your schools. Here's a sign-up form. Sign up for an individual time, and I would come out and meet with you and answer your questions and get the customizations that I needed for your app, blah, blah, blah. So in essence, I took that big game opportunity, broke it down into individual apps. I knew we would only really have to do that one time, and I also knew that when we sell a nonprofit, we're doing so at $1,250. That's the upfront money. Then we're doing it at $75 a month, which is $900. So you're talking about $2,150 is what I intend to generate for each one of those schools every single year forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. That is our goal. So that's how we got the opportunity. And it's great. This first year, we're at about 26,000 and counting in revenue generated on that deal. And I'm stoked because we didn't even start at the beginning of the year. So the long way to go with that. And again, it's been great. 26,000 and 9 apps. Not a bad take on giving away a group of 25 apps for free. Again, over on the other side of the page, it talks about some of the opportunities that we've stumbled across, or with the schools we've gone after, but we haven't gotten yet. We're looking and talking to school districts right now that have got 82 schools, 125 schools, 230 schools. It's a lot harder than you think to give away 82 apps, but we are trying. We have stumbled across restaurant franchises that have 12, 30, and 82 locations. And as of yet, we haven't landed any of those, although we do have one that's got 30 locations that we are in conversation with still. They said no once, but then the people that were responsible for saying no they've now moved on, and so now we're back to talking to them again. So we're excited about those possibilities. The third thing on the list is the 9 Richmond, Virginia restaurants. We literally, one of my reps was calling on restaurants, stumbled across a guy who talked about how they had a buying group of 22 restaurants. And so once she made her presentations and all, what ended up happening is, long story short, they decided that they wanted to get an app for 9 of the different restaurants. Now, sounds great, it sounds exciting, and it was really good money, and all that's great, fine, and dandy. We gave them discounted pricing. I mean, they were really hitting us over the head to get the price down, and we kept going and going and going down. Here's the problem. The guy that we were dealing with, I mean, we're basically talking mafia. The guy was so Italian that he spoke broken English. He couldn't write English. The problem was that he negotiated a price that put him in position to get the information from us and then disseminate that information out to the other 9 restaurants. Well, that sounds good in theory. Unfortunately, those 9 restaurants had different names, different menus, different everything. If it was a franchise, that might have been possible. But since those 9 restaurants actually represented, say, 5 different restaurant names and labels and brands, didn't work. The problem then was that the amount we were charging them put the sales rep in position to not be able to drive, say the restaurants are in a geographic region that's an hour and a half from one area to the other, from one end to the other end, and she just wasn't getting paid to be going and running around to all those places. So needless to say, those 9 deals all ultimately fell through. But who cares? We got thousands of dollars on the front end, and certainly that money is earned money. And then as far as the monthly fee, those restaurants, I would say the first one canceled after paying for 3 months, the last one canceled after paying for, say, a year. And a telltale sign for the type of customer that's not going to do anything with their app, which makes them much more likely to cancel, is a customer that has Facebook that's never done anything with their Facebook. Like, there isn't even one picture on there. There's no more than 4 or 5 posts on there over, say, a 2-year period of time, because that describes these restaurants. Why would they take an app and do anything with it that costs them money when they have Facebook and they don't do anything with it? If you were to download every single one of the apps that we have sold, the over 100 apps that we've done, if you were to look at all of the Facebook pages for all of those apps, what you would see is that they are all using their Facebook pages to promote their businesses. They are businesses that are interested in promoting, getting more customers, keeping the ones that they have. That's what an app is intended for. That's where you get customers that get 500 or 1,000 people to download the app or more. And of course, they're never going to get rid of the app. The last big game opportunity there on the list is Sambuca Restaurants. They've got 4 different locations. We sold them 4 restaurants, 4 restaurant apps. The situation there was, I've got a sales rep in Nashville, Tennessee, a lesbian lady, and what she does is she mostly works over the computer, where she'll sell an app for, say, a ladies' clothing boutique. Then she goes on Facebook and finds 3,000 ladies' clothing boutiques that have Facebooks that actually promote with them. Then she sends out emails to all 3,000 of those people saying, hey, look at Junkie Trunk Boutique. We sold them an app. They're having a lot of success. They do what you do. Are you interested in the same thing? If so, call me. And so she has people that are calling her. Sounds really easy that she's just sitting on the computer, but she's sending out thousands of emails. That is a ton of work, and then she's only getting a tiny percentage return, but each one of those is $1,500, and she's putting $750 in her pocket and making money on a monthly basis. So that's not a bad thing. But what happened with Sambuca is that there is a location there in Nashville. She walked into that restaurant and they told her, oh, you need to talk to Emily or whatever the lady's name was, and she's in the marketing department in the home office in Dallas. So, it's one of those things where you feel like you're sort of being blown off and nothing's going to come out of it. But she did follow up with the lady in Dallas, and she got me involved. We ended up having 4 or 5 conference calls where we were able to do demonstrations like we're doing right now through a meeting, and ultimately ended up selling them 4 apps, gave them a small discount. I think we went from $1,500 and $100 a month, and I think we did it at $1,250 for each app. So that's $5,000, and then we did it's like $85 a month or something like that is what they're paying for each of the different locations. So 8, 16, 24, 32, they're paying $325, $350 a month for the maintenance fee on those 4 apps. So great opportunity, and the way that it showed up was really the old-fashioned way. The neat thing was we actually signed everything on the dotted line right before Christmas. So this was for that particular year. This was the Christmas money, not only for the sales rep but for us as well. So it was neat. Again, you see there the restaurant franchises that we just stumbled across where nothing came out of them. So again, I simply implore you, when you go and you're looking for these big opportunities, don't look for the big opportunities. Just go out and go through your regular motions and you'll stumble across those opportunities. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about are setting customer expectations. If either do it and be happy or don't do it and be sad. Literally, when you're talking about customer expectations with what we're doing, you want to make sure that the company that you work for that sells mobile apps, that you have a consistent policy in place that you and your sales rep repeat so frequently that literally you could do it in your sleep. So when I'm talking to my customer about how long it's going to take to build the app, we're talking the first one on the list here, build time. It's 5 to 15 days for us to build your app. What do I mean by that? Well, if you give me everything that I need and I leave here today with everything that I need, like your logo, your restaurant menu, on and on and on, we'll have your app done in 5 days. If, however, you tell me you're doing a new logo and you want that logo to, you're going to actually give it to me tomorrow, I already know how that's going to work. I'm not going to get the logo for a week, and that's how it's going to take 15 days to build your app. So basically, you're in control whether your app is done in 5 days versus it being done in 15 days. Okay, now another point there is there's a big difference between publishing the app and the app being done. Let's look at publish times. Publish time, you're talking 5 to 15 days to get your app built. So once the app is built, we're going to publish it for Android right away. So how long is it going to take to publish it for Android? Well, when I come back in 5 days, it will be live for Android. Apple, well, you need to add an additional 7 to 21 days for iOS, which is short for Apple. I don't even know what the heck that thing means, but iOS is Apple. So it's going to take an additional 7 to 21 days from the point that I actually get back here 5 days from now with your finished app. So you want to be clear. Now, typically the way that we're doing things is we're taking a check for the upfront money, and I'm getting my final check when I come back in 5 days when the app is completed. And then typically we're charging their credit card for that monthly fee, but that doesn't start until the app goes live for Apple. So understanding those time frames and expressing that to your customer is of the utmost importance. When it comes to the app update requests, first and foremost, it's very, very important that you do not try and be a hero on this next point. When we talk about app update requests, we're talking about your customer now has their app. They want changes to take place. Folks, do not be a hero. Train your customers on the back office so that they can make their own changes. Empower your customer so that they can make their own changes. If it's something that is beyond their skill level, please send that to me, Mr. Customer. However, for the simple stuff, let me show you how you can make those changes yourself. Now, I have customers that'll email me or text me and they'll say, hey, can you send out a push notification? You know, I'm underground right now and I can't do it. Normally we do it, but right now I'm underground. I'm in a plane. I can't do it myself. Got it. No problem. I'll take care of that for you. But when the customer calls and says, hey, can you update the pictures that are on my app? No problem. We'll get that taken care of within 48 hours. So it might be done in 5 minutes, but it will certainly be done within 48 hours. Those are the expectations that we set with our customers. The next thing is tech support. When a customer has a problem with an app, I want them to know we're going to deal with that as soon as possible. Now, understand this. There are different ways we're going to answer those time frames based upon where the problem lies. Is it a problem with Apple? Is it a problem with Google or Android? Is it a problem with BA? Let's read my story, which is right down here underneath. BA has published over 100,000 apps in the App Store. That represents more than 5% of all of the apps that are live in the App Store. If you have a problem with your app, guess what? So do a lot of others. That is why myself as a business owner aligned myself. That is why we aligned our business with the best suppliers in the world. You know, I get that the people that made Facebook started in their dorm room, but there's no way I'm aligning myself with people that are in their dorm room. No, I want the best that are in the industry. That way, I don't ever stress out anymore. Why? Because I'm dealing with the best. So if we've got a problem with your app, there's 100,000 other businesses that have the exact same problem. Believe me, I don't have to scream bloody murder. They are on it as far as fixing the problem. That's if the problem lies with BA. That's the story that I'm telling. If the problem requires like getting the app republished with Apple, well, then I'm reading what's underneath. You see, Apple, they're like a big cruise ship. They're like a freight train. Try and tell that cruise ship that's at full steam, try and tell them to stop. How long is it going to take that cruise ship to stop and turn around? You ever seen a train hit a car that got stuck on a railroad crossing? It's like 3 miles down the road before they've stopped. The bottom line is, you can't tell Apple what to do. We ask very politely and then we wait, but we do not control Apple. The fastest that I ever saw an app get published, so as far as publishing apps, the fastest that I ever had an app get published was 1 day. That day was the very first day of the year. So obviously, BA's slate was clean, and Apple's slate was clean, and it was processed, it went up, and was approved in 24 hours. I about lost my mind. The longest that I've seen to get an app published was 5 or 6 weeks. Now, from that standpoint, let's talk about Apple rejections. If you haven't published an app yet, you don't know what I'm talking about. But if you have to understand that anytime you publish an app, when you publish it with Android, it's an automatic process. We hit that button, and a couple hours later, you can download it onto your phone. When you publish an app with Apple, first it goes to our processors, that's BA. They're sitting there, and they could be holding on to it and packaging it. It could take them up to a week to get that thing uploaded. Many times, it's the same day. It could take a week. I am not in control of however long it takes. They have published over 100,000 of them. I do not tell them what to do. The second thing is, once it gets to Apple, it's literally going to sit there until Apple decides to look at it. Again, that could be an hour, it could be a month. We don't tell Apple what to do. When they do look at it, there are literal human beings that are evaluating the app. Because human beings are evaluating the app, their decisions are quite subjective. I didn't know it, but if you have an app and the business that the app is made for, let's say that it's a business that takes donations or has any affiliation with the concept of donations, if you submit that app and the website is connected, Apple will reject that app because you can't have an app get approved that has any mention of donations. Well, guess what? We had that happen, so after that, we started looking. We didn't just attach websites anymore. Now we started looking at the content of those websites before we uploaded them. So Apple has a million different little reasons why they want to reject an app. And until you've published a bunch of apps of a particular variety, you're personally just not going to be an expert. You're not going to know when that's going to happen. So again, that's why we tell our customer, look, it's going to take 5 to 15 days for us to get this thing built. You give me everything I need, 5 days. After that, it's going to, and it'll be live for Android. After that, it's going to take another 1 to 3 weeks to go live with Apple. Why? Because Apple, they actually evaluate the app on a, where a human being is actually looking at it and going through it with a fine-tooth comb. If your website is down and we connect your website, the app will be rejected because Apple only wants apps in the App Store that are going to actually work and blah, blah, blah. So set good expectations. In addition to that, when you sell the app to your customer, it's important that they understand that the app is not the end-all be-all. Let's read. When it comes to app promotion, the app is not intended to replace your current advertising, but instead it is designed to embolden your current advertising. We're going to make your advertising better. You see these QR codes? You want to put these QR codes in your advertising. You know that symbol? Let me get out of here. Let me find this really quick. Hold on, Google Images, and this symbol right here, this symbol here, when you see these symbols, people know what to do. You're telling people that there's an app that they should be aware of. So you want to absolutely, positively, in every way you can, get the message out about your app. The concept that all you're doing is getting an app and it's going to automatically start doing things to your business is asinine. I would say that half of the people that cancel an app are literally going to say these words: I bought the app, but the app just wasn't doing anything. The app, I thought it would do more for me. The app didn't do more for you. Well, you know what? An app is a tool, just like a hammer. If you buy a hammer and then put it on the counter and look at it, is it going to be of any value? Well, it's the same with an app. So you must promote it. You want to put it into your advertising. Literally, when you walk into your sales presentation, one of the first things that you want to do is you want to ask your customer, what, Mr. Customer, what do you do for advertising? How do you advertise your business? And you need to actually write down the answers. Make your customer think that the things that they're telling you are important. And when they tell you that they advertise in the newspaper, well, what size ad do you do? Okay, and what is the frequency with which you do that ad? About how much does that cost? How many zones does it go out in? Okay, great information. What other kind of advertising do you do? What else? What else? What else? How much? How frequent? Okay, so now that you know all of the advertising that you do, what you want to do is talk to your customer now that you're at the end of the presentation. You just sold them the app. You want to talk to them about taking the QR codes, taking that download our app symbol, taking the message of the fact that they have an app and inserting it into their newspaper ads, into their website, into their social media. All right, I got this great story. This is my recycle bin story. And I'm going to use this story with my customer. And it's a true story. And here's the reality. Every Monday, we get the newspaper, and it has all of the area golf courses advertising. So there's 15 or 20 golf courses in there. And the life cycle of that advertisement is such that at 6 o'clock in the morning, those 15 golf courses get delivered to my driveway. And that's where they sit until about 7:30 when we come out to walk the dog, pick up the newspaper, and transport those 15 golf courses directly to the kitchen counter. From that point, they go from the kitchen counter to the kitchen table. They might make it into the bathroom, maybe the couch. But I would say at about 3:30 in the afternoon, they make it into the garage, into the recycle bin. Now, the reality is, if one of those advertisements had a QR code in it or a message that said, scan this and download our app to take advantage of our loyalty program where you can get free golf balls or free rounds of golf or gift cards to our to the club shop or gift cards to the 19th hole, or happy hour pricing on drinks regardless of when you come in, you're going to get those things if you download our app. Then what's going to happen is 15 golf courses are going to be delivered to my driveway at 6 a.m. They're going to make it to the kitchen counter at 7:30. They're going to shuffle back and forth to the couch, the bathroom, the kitchen table, and then about 3:30 in the afternoon, 14 of those golf courses are heading to the recycle bin while one goes to my phone, and that's where it's going to stay forever. Why? Because the definition of a mobile app, as far as what we do, is quite simple. It is your business living on your customer's smartphone. So when you get an app, having that app and understanding that you need to promote that app, understanding the value of QR codes, the value of that other symbol, putting it on your website, putting it on your t-shirts, putting it on your posters, putting it on your menus, putting it on your flyers, putting it on your table tents, putting it wherever you put your specials. You do that, it's going to make your advertising that much better. So tell the recycle bin story and let my great story work for you. Understand also when you're talking about setting customer expectations, you want to talk about app retention. It's really sad when I look and I see that an app had 1,500 people download the app for Android. However, today they only have 10% of that number that kept the app. Why does that happen? Well, it's simple. You had an app, but you didn't put anything in there that added value to your customer's life. Let's read. It is easy to get people to download your app. However, you must put something that is of value, something that is of value into the app, or why would people keep it? Buy 10 donuts, get one free. Buy 10 cups of coffee, 10 oil changes, whatever it is, get one free. Something like that. You know, a lot of people want to do something like download our app and get a lollipop. But that's going to get me to download the app. But what are you going to put into it that's going to get me to keep the app? So that is definitely a conversation you want to have with your customers. When it comes to setting expectations, customer expectations, I want to talk to you all for just a moment. That is literally the difference between happy customers and sad customers. It's literally the difference between getting 10 customers in 6 months and getting 30 customers in 6 months. It's really the secret to success. So please keep all of those things in mind. Please, please, please. It'll make a huge difference in your business. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is the reality behind technology. And that reality is, folks, that it's all alien technology. If all of the stuff that we're using, cell phones, televisions, automobiles, if all of this stuff just up and disappeared one day, what in the heck would we do as far as recapturing the lifestyle that we've created? How would we recreate the internet? What do we do as far as recreating the cell phone? How do we recreate just the old regular phone? Folks, listen, when you're dealing with support, chill out and make a friend. They didn't get 100,000 apps published without knowing what they were doing. Now, still, I speak with multiple people on important topics to clarify and verify X, Y, Z, whatever it is that that's really important. Like with this golf course tab, we've been working with them to get it to do some really neat things, and we're really excited about that. So it's really important when you don't necessarily get the answer that you're looking for, that you speak to multiple people until you get the answer that you're looking for, or until you are sure that the answer that you're getting is the answer to the question that you're asking. It's really important, and I've gotten on my partner about this on numerous occasions. When you send an email into support and you're asking 15 questions, you need to have bullet points, or better yet, number your questions. Put spaces between your questions. Question number 1, blah, 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 space. Question number 2, make it impossible for the person answering your questions, make it impossible for them to not see that you've got 15 different questions. Because we've had it happen 1,000 times where we don't do that, send the question in, and then the answer that we get back is just a partial answer. It's extremely aggravating. But you know what? It doesn't matter. We're still selling apps left and right. So when you're dealing with the people at support, they can be your best friend. They can be your biggest ally. I've never yelled at any one of them. I love them because they help me. They're there for one reason, and that's to help me. Sometimes I've got people there that are new. Sometimes I've got people there that don't necessarily know what they're talking about, and it's okay. I just send it in an email. Or I send an email and I get an answer where the person didn't know what they were talking about, and I just keep a positive attitude, but I will call back in to get the answer that I'm looking for. So just keep that in mind. It really does make a difference when you're dealing with them, that you again just stay positive and maintain a good attitude and all that stuff. Okay, we're going to be doing another meeting tomorrow, which is Saturday at 12 o'clock noon. And the meeting that we're talking about tomorrow, we're going to be talking about different topics. Let's see what the heck it is we're talking about tomorrow. Tomorrow's topics are going to be handling objections, which I love. Honestly, I don't think that there's a question that your customer could ask that I couldn't answer. Literally, I challenge you to be in a sales presentation with a customer where you could call me on the phone, on speakerphone with your customer, that you could ask a question that I couldn't answer. So tomorrow we're going to talk about handling objections. We're going to talk about setting up the closing phone call. When you're in that sales process and you've got to make that phone call and you've got to call the office to get help closing the deal or get questions answered, there is a method to the madness. There is a way to actually make that phone call, and there's a way to actually set that phone call up. We're going to talk about creating sales urgency. I spoke with a reseller the other day that was telling me they were going on vacation, and that when they got back, they were really going to have to go through all the people that they were talking to just close those sales out and just once and for all get yeses or get nos. And I knew right away that this guy had a problem. The problem was he was not creating urgency when it came to making that presentation and closing that deal. He wasn't giving his customer a reason to say yes today compared to saying yes tomorrow, next week, next month, or next year. So creating sales urgency is something that we talked about immediately so that he would be able to cut down on that nonsense. And that is directly tied to creating your sales story. So we're going to go over my sales story. We're going to talk about just different sales stories that you can have that you would be able to use in an effort to create sales urgency with your customers. So that's what we're going to talk about in our meeting tomorrow, which is at 12 o'clock noon. Again, check out our website, helpmesellapps.com. or helpyousellaapps.com, which is where you're listening to this if you're not here with us live. But get in there, ask your questions, and go to work. Go to work. Walk through the doors of businesses and set a goal of getting 3 people every day that are going to agree to taking a look at a free demo for their business, a branded demo for their business. Make those demos. Do not, I repeat, do not talk to people about mobile apps unless you have a demo that you are discussing. If you were selling a car, you certainly couldn't try and sell the car without doing a test drive. Period. They won't even sit down with you until after the test drive. We're the same way. No demo, no conversation. So, get out there and get yourself 3 businesses that are going to tell you every day that they'll take a look at a demo. That's literally 15 demos a week. You'll have 10 to 12 of those that you'll actually get a chance to sit with in a week. Of those 10, if you're just an ordinary closer and you ask for the money and you offer flexible terms as far as how they can pay the money, there's no reason you can't go and close 2, 3, 4 deals each and every week. And if you do that, you're literally staring yourself, regardless of what you charge, you're staring at an opportunity where you can make yourself $50, $75, or $100,000 plus a year. This industry is the greatest industry that I've ever come across. I couldn't be more committed to it. It is so, so, so exciting. Most of the people in the business have no idea what they're doing or just are not committed to going to work. Therefore, there is going to be an opportunity for this business to be brand new for years and years and years. I fully expect that 5 years and 10 years from now that we're all still talking on cell phones, we're all still messing around with apps, and if that's the case, I will be out there selling mobile apps to small businesses just like I am today, and then I will think that the opportunity is just as good then as I feel like it is today. So I'm going to go ahead and end the recording. You have a good rest of the day and get out there and sell something.